Local Content Summit, holding at the NCDMB Conference Center in Yenagoa, the Bayelsa State capital. Please stay with us.
This is a live Channels Television event.
Alamo Gideon, you're welcome, Your Excellency.
Deputy Chairman, House of Representatives Committee on Local Content Monitoring, Honorable Sheyi Shoumi, we acknowledge your presence.
We also like to recognize the presence of Honorable George Folarin Olawande. You're welcome.
And of course, another member, Honorable Olatunji Akinosi, all of the Local Content Monitoring of the House of Representatives, we welcome you.
Also like to recognize the Assistant Clerk, Senate Committee on Local Content Monitoring, representing the Chair, Senator Natasha Akpoti Uduahan, Mr. Lawrence Ikate. Please a round of applause for him. Thank you.
We'd like to, of course, as well, acknowledge the presence of distinguished Senator Heineken Lepobiri, Honorable Minister of Petroleum Resources Oil, represented by Ambassador Gabriel Aduda, Permanent Secretary of the Ministry of Nigerian's OPEC Governor, and he is joining us virtually from Dubai. Good morning, PS, and welcome.
We'd also like to recognize Right Honorable Obongemen Ekperekpe Eko, the Honorable Minister for Petroleum Resources, Gas, and he is represented by Mrs. Komolafe, the Director of Gas in the Ministry. Please a round of applause for her. Thank you so much, ma'am.
And of course, the man who, on behalf of the federal government, is hosting this event for this 12th edition, our host here in the Towers, Executive Secretary, Nigerian Content Implementation Monitoring Board, Engineer Simbi KCA Wapote, FNSE, FIPS. A very good morning to you, and thank you. Please give a round of applause, ladies and gentlemen.
We also like to recognize the Group Chief Executive Officer of NNPC Limited. He's not here physically, but he's joining us virtually, and I believe his presentation will also be done live virtually. Dr. Mele Polo Kiari.
Thank you for joining us all the way from Dubai virtually. I'm aware to reveal that we have representations from NUPRC, yes, from NMDPRA, from PTDF, and many other agencies under the ministry. We acknowledge your presence. Time is a bit fast spent, but want to give all of you a resounding applause and appreciate you for your kind presence. Please give them a round of applause.
I would also like to, at this point, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, recognize the Chief Judge of Bayelsa State, Milord the Honorable Justice Matilda Abrakasa Ayemiaye. Please a round of applause for Milord. You're welcome.
We just mentioned Dr. Mele Kolokiari, and some of his EVPs are out in Dubai with him. We'll also like to acknowledge the presence of the Chief Upstream Investment Officer of NOIMS, Mr. Bounty. A very good morning to you, and thank you for joining us.
You're welcome, sir. And the Secretary to State Government is representing the Governor, and so we have members of the State Executive Council here. Honorable Commissioners of the State Executive Council, you're all welcome. Please a round of applause for them. Also here on the team is the former Secretary to State Government in Bayelsa State. You're welcome, sir. Thank you. Barrister Kamila Okara. Thank you so much for being here, sir.
Thank you very much. We'd like to also acknowledge this morning here with us the presence of the man who made the move, or one of the major initiators of what we now know as the Logic Act, the distinguished Senator Lee Maiba. Very good morning to you, and thank you.
You're welcome, sir. Please a round of applause for him.
We're also joined to review by the Pioneer Executive Secretary,
yes,
who is, you can't miss his presence.
No, you cannot. You cannot. Dr.
N.S. Chumapa.
You're welcome, sir.
Very good morning to you, sir. Thank you for
High Chief Engineer. High Chief Engineer Doctor. You're welcome, sir. We appreciate your presence. Thank you so much.
Of course, the immediate past Executive Secretary,
Architect Denzel Kentabe. Please a round of applause for him. Thank you so much, sir, for being here. And the Chief Judge is not here alone. Accompanying the Chief Judge are judges of the High Court in their numbers here. Please, a round of applause for them. Thank you so much for being here.
The industry is very well represented. We'll have the Managing Director of SNEPCO, Engineer Lobo Ayiboni of NSC. Good morning to you. Thank you for
You're
being
welcome,
here.
ma'am. It's a pleasure to have you here.
We have the Managing Director of Total Energies, Mr. Matthew Bouye.
Yes.
Monsieur.
You're welcome, sir.
Bienvenue. The Managing Director of Chevron is represented by Mr. Cosmas Uweze, EDJB Chevron. Very good morning to you, and thank you so much for joining us. IPPG is in the room.
Yes.
We have Mr. Abdul Rasak Isa, who is also the chairman of Watersmith and IPPG.
Thank you, sir, for being here. He's also one of our speakers today. And of course, principal sponsor. Please put your hands together for him. Thank you so much.
I'd like to acknowledge the presence of presidents and chairmen of industry associations. The chairman of PETA, Mr. Nico Junuwe, is here. We'll sing please give them a round of applause. We'll sing
and of course, the chairman is not here alone. The vice chairman and other executives of PETA are all here. Thank you.
Octon is here as well.
Yes.
Mazi Onyechi, we thank you for the work that you do for the industry. We acknowledge your presence, as well as that of OPTS. Mr. Kennedy is still their chairman, but I know their ES is somewhere, Mr. Gweke. Thank you. PCTS, brand new chairperson, Rosario Osovase. Good morning to you, Rosario.
Congratulations, ma'am. You're welcome.
Yes.
We wish you and your team great achievements. Thank you.
And of course, NAPE's president, Mr. Abiodun FNAPE, you're here somewhere. We acknowledge all of your distinguished presence. Thank you all for being here. And you distinguished delegates, if DMG and Lebmora put these events together and you are not here to participate in
there will be no event
and contribute, there will be no event.
Yes.
So we thank you all for your kind presence this morning. We cannot stop thanking you, our sponsors. You are the reason we're here, so thank you all very much.
And in case you're wondering, we have military presence here, and they are partners in progress. Remember, in the oil and gas industry, the Nigerian Armed Forces have played their part from Operation Delta State to core military organizations, and so they are here. We appreciate you. We have the commander of the Joint Task Force Operation Delta Safe, Rear Admiral E.O. Ferreira. Please a round of applause for him. Thank you, sir, for being here. And I can see the commander of the 16th Brigade, General Yakasai. You're welcome, sir. Thank you so much for being here with your team. We'll once again like to appreciate our sponsors in their various categories. Our principal sponsors, please, a sponsors round of applause for them. Thank you. Our diamond sponsors, please show them some love. Thank you. Our platinum sponsors, another round of applause. Thank you. We have the gold sponsors, please appreciate them. Thank you. We have the silver sponsors, and they are shining bright also. Please appreciate them. Thank you. We have the bronze sponsors, and believe me, if you have the other categories and you do not have this category, it will still not be complete. So please appreciate the bronze sponsors. Thank you so much. And of course, to ensure connectivity, the ISP partner, please appreciate them also. You can understand the frustration that comes with not having network when you want to make an important phone call. So please appreciate the ISP partners again. And finally, the supporting associations. We have recognized some of them, but please let the applause be better this time. Thank you.
So, you made a very vital point when you spoke about the role the military plays in ensuring the smooth running of operations, not just the military, the paramilitary, all of our servicemen and security officers. And this morning, they're all very well represented. Before I just run through this exhaustive list, you will indulge us, please. I'd like to also acknowledge the presence of the Managing Director of Nigerian LNG. Is my mic on? Is it working? Can you hear me? Okay?
They can.
They can, right?
Well,
okay,
I think
cool.
mine is louder. Somehow the technical team loves me.
They love you. Okay, it's okay. You are a woman. It's all right. I understand. I won't beat them for that. Okay, so I want to acknowledge the presence of the Managing Director of Nigerian LNG, Dr. Philip Michel Bila, who is represented by the General Manager, External Relations and Sustainability, Mr. Andy Ode. Very good morning to you, Mr. Ode. I know you're here somewhere.
He's there. So
all right, beautiful.
Thank you, sir, for being
here. So
please
indulge us. She has mentioned some of them. We want to acknowledge the State Director of the Department of State Services, Yenagua. We thank you for your presence here. The Commissioner of Police, Yenagua, Bayelsa State, the Bridge Commander, 16th Brigade, Nigerian Army, we acknowledge you. The Assistant Inspector of Police Zone 16, we acknowledge your presence. The Air Officer Commanding Mobility Command, Nigerian Air Force, Yenagoa, we acknowledge your presence. The Flag Officer, Central Naval Command, Nigerian Navy, we acknowledge your presence. And of course, the JTF, I think you mentioned that earlier, yes, we acknowledge your presence. The State Control of Immigrations, you play a key role with NCDMB in ensuring certain quotas for the business. We acknowledge your presence. The Sector Commandant of FRSC, thank you for being here. And the Commandant of Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps, Bayelsa State, all of you, we acknowledge your presence and appreciate your kind attendance.
We thank you all, military and paramilitary organizations. We also like to recognize, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, Your Excellencies, Ado Oserabaji, the Chief Executive Officer of Heritage Oil and Heritage Energy Operational Services Limited. Please, a round of applause for him.
All right, so we cannot exhaust the list. You agree with me? So we've not mentioned your name or your category. Forgive us. Punish us by giving us your events for the next 12 months. We will learn our lesson. Thank you very much. We're moving on swiftly now to get us off the stage and bring up the first speaker. But before we do that, for 12 years, the Practical Nigerian Content Forum has been an avenue for the oil and gas industry to take stock of performance so far in the industry, identify salient areas that need tweaking, chart a new course, as well as consolidate on successes recorded.
Deepening Nigerian content amidst divestments, domestication, and decarbonization. When we say to deepen, it means considerable inroads have been made.
Nigerian companies delving into the oil and gas industry first felt like looking at a body of water and wondering, can I swim in this water?
Can you swim?
They wondered.
The prospect of being active players, talk more of having major stakes, looked daunting.
Through determination, tenacity, favorable policy, and hard hand-holding by the Nigerian Content Development and Monitoring Board, the horizon did not just become clearer, but navigatable.
To the indigenous companies, that feeling of knowing, yes, I might not be able to swim to the sea or the Atlantic, the ES can attest to that, but yes, this body of water, I can swim in it. It has an indescribable feeling.
The true test of success is when you are able to not just achieve tests, but become a source of positive reference. The Nigerian Content Development and Monitoring Board, under the leadership of the current Executive Secretary, Engineer Simbi Kese Waputi FNSE, the board and the vibrant team have over the years been able to not just successfully implement local content vision, but become an example of how effective it can be, and as a result provided a springboard for other African countries to launch their local content drive.
A vision of itself might not look viable, but with consistency and dexterity, the vision has come of age. From the 10-year Nigerian Content Strategic Roadmap to inspiring the implementation of same inclusion in other sectors of the economy is nothing short of phenomenal.
Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, we could go on and on, but to tell us a bit more of the successes of the last 12 years of PNC and the tremendous contributions of this forum to the oil and gas industry development, we'd like to welcome DMG Nigerian's Event Director. Ladies and gentlemen, a warm applause for Wemimo Anifoshe.
Iva.
Good morning, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. Please allow me to stand on already established protocol. It is my pleasure to welcome you to the 12th edition of the Practical Nigerian Content Forum, organized in partnership with the Nigerian Content Development Board and the Moral Services. In delivering this welcome address every year, I'm always filled with gratitude to see the number of senior industry stakeholders that convene at this platform, which is dedicated to sparking the dialogue that challenges the status quo, confronts the barriers to increasing capacity development and implementation, with a view to proper solutions that will take Nigerian content to the next level. Since its inception in 2011, we have also had the opportunity to celebrate various milestones that have been achieved in Nigerian content. And as I reflected on the journey so far, two things continue to ring true. We must sustain the progress that has been made, And secondly, without putting in all that is required and all that is necessary to execute the plans that have been made to deepen local content in the energy sector, all the hard work and investments and sacrifices that have been made can quickly come to naught. Under the leadership of the pioneer Executive Secretary, Dr. Ernest Mwapa, the NCDMB was able to drive Nigerian content by enforcing the policy that was necessary to develop capacity, but also making it evident that Nigerian content will deliver value to the energy sector. Thus, we have been able to celebrate many Nigerian content firsts here at the Practical Nigerian Content Forum. The 5th Practical Nigerian Content Forum held in 2015 with the NCDMB under the leadership of architect Denzel Amagwe-Kentebe. And we witnessed the drive to grow domestic capacity sustained under his leadership, and the message remained clear to the industry. Nigerian content was delivering value with opportunities to extend implementation beyond the oil and gas sector. And from 2016 till date, we have continued to celebrate local content achievements under the leadership of engineer Simbi Esiewabote. And the Nigerian content success story is one that is unmatched throughout the continent. When we would travel to other events within Africa and in trying to establish new events, when we spoke to different African countries, there was one statement that I heard more frequently than I was comfortable with. And that was, if you want to know how to manage your oil and gas sector, look at the way the Nigerians did it. You know, Nigerian content for us is the success story, because now when I travel around the African countries, this has changed. The narrative is now, how do we learn from Nigerians on how to establish a strong local content strategy? This is no mean feat and is a testament to the conversations we have here, but also, even more so, the work that is done once we leave this conference. It is clear that sustaining Nigerian content is pivotal to the development and growth of our nation. But Nigerian content can only be sustained through execution of cost and time-efficient energy projects in the sector. So I want to challenge us today that our time spent here at this conference is focused on defining what is needed in the short and medium term to successfully take the energy projects from plan to excellent execution. Excellent execution meaning that we utilize the rich skills and expertise and experience we have here at home to drive these projects forward. The theme of this conference, Deepening Nigerian Content Amidst Divestments, Domestication and Decarbonization, serves as a compass guiding us through the fruitful conversations that we'll be able to look back on in years to come and pin tangible results to. On behalf of DMG Nigeria Events, the NCDMB and our partner Moral Services, I extend our utmost gratitude to our hospitable hosts, the Bayelsa State Government, who have supported us from the beginning. Also to our principal sponsor, IPPG, for all our long-standing sponsors. I would like to thank our dedicated speakers, exhibitors, and members of the press. A big thank you to our delegates, our allies in developing the program to ensure the conversations are relevant and remain fruitful. Please ensure to make the most of the many networking functions, including this evening's gala dinner, hosted by Bayelsa State Government, and tomorrow's dinner hosted by Nigeria NNG. In conclusion, I want to reiterate my warmest welcome to you all, and may this conference be a catalyst for meaningful connections, transformative ideas, and tangible solutions. Thank you, and let's get the conversation started.
Thank you very much. Women more, please. Another round of applause for her. Thank you. Indeed, success is gifted with several children, and the Nigerian story is one that all over Africa is bringing accolades to not just the government, but also the board that is pioneering this local content move, championing it all across Africa. And it gives me great pleasure at this point, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, to invite a man who is not just championing the local content in Nigeria, but Africa, and has been able to inspire other African countries to borrow a leaf of what Nigeria is doing. The Executive Secretary of the Nigerian Content Development and Monitoring Board, Engineer Simbi Esiewabote.
Thank you, Tari Wario, and also Richmond Osuji, for remembering all the names, and for the fact that you forgot some names. You are sentenced to compare another event next year as part of your punishment. Let me recognize the presence of the Executive Governor of Bayelsa State, Senator Doye Diri, ably represented here by the Secretary to the State Government, my friend Gideon Ekewe. You're recognized. Let me recognize the Honorable Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, Oil, and the Honorable Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, Gas. These two gentlemen were supposed to be with us, but they joined the President in Dubai for the COP28, so they are unable to attend in person. But the ministers are represented by the Permanent Secretary, my friend Ambassador Aduda, who will join us via Zoom this morning. He was meant to travel to this place yesterday, but unfortunately he was invited by the Senate to come and defend the budget of the ministry, so he had to concede to that. Let me recognize the chairman of the Senate Committee on Local Content, Senator Natasha Poti Odwaha, who is represented by the Deputy Director of the committee, Mr. Lawrence, present here today. I also recognize the Director, Gas, in the Ministry of Petroleum Resources, Mrs. Komolafe, who is also physically representing the Permanent Secretary here today, and also the Minister of State for Gas. I recognize the Chief Executive Officer of NNPC Limited, my friend and brother Mele Kolo Kiari, who will be joining us via Zoom from Dubai. But physically representing him is my other younger brother, Bala Wonti, who is present here today. I also recognize chief executives and MDs of government parastatals here present, the military, and all security agencies. Let me also recognize the presence of captains of industries, MDs of the various IOCs. I most especially recognize the chairman, House Committee on Local Content, my sister, Boma Goodhead, who is represented here by the Deputy Chairman, Honorable Sheyi Sowemi, who will be with us shortly because he's traveling down from Port Harcourt, and all the senators here present representing the Senate Committee, and also all the House of Representative members here present. The Lord, the Chief Judge of Bayelsa State, is also recognized. I recognize the Pioneer Executive Secretary and the past Executive Secretaries of NCDMB, and I recognize my brother, Engineer Lee Meiba, one of the pioneers of the local content journey that we have today. The Royal Fathers and special guests of honors, gentlemen of the press, I crave your indulgence to permit me to stand on the already established protocol, because if I continue, you will probably hand over the MC work to me rather than Richmond. It is my great honor and privilege to deliver this welcome keynote address to you all at this 12th edition of the Practical Nigerian Content Forum, as well as welcome you back to Yenagoa. For those of you who are visiting for the first time, you're welcome. For those of us who have been a regular guest, you are most welcome to Yenagoa. The Practical Nigerian Content host city. After our sojourn last year to Uyo, Akwa Ibom State, due to the devastating flood incident. Once again, we appreciate the support of all stakeholders in making last year's event a success, despite the challenges that we faced within that period. Despite initial concerns, the weather this year has been very considerate to enable me to deliver this keynote address within NCDMB headquarters, perhaps in recognition that this is my last practical Nigerian content keynote address as the Executive Secretary of NCDMB. This welcome keynote address provides opportunity for me to share the facts about where we are on the 10-year strategic roadmap, with only 3 years left to get into the year 2027. It enables me to reflect on the journey in the last 7.5 years of being in the saddle as the Executive Secretary and express my gratitude for the wonderful support I have received across board to get us to this point in our local content practice. At the end of the year 2017, we launched our 10-year strategic roadmap amid an increasing Nigerian content in the oil and gas industry to 70% by the year 2027. Our guests and stakeholders in the industry will recall that we had rolled out 5 pillars and 4 enablers to drive the focus areas under the roadmap, each supported with short, medium, and long-term initiatives. I am delighted that the journey has been transformational from where we started to the point where we are today. We have completed 83% of the 96 initiatives under the strategic roadmap, with focus now shifting to the remaining initiatives that requires some heavy lifting to bring into fruition. With the support of the industry, our sponsors, principals, advocates, staff, contractors, host communities, and even critics, the transformational impact of the delivery of these initiatives has been a resounding success. Under the roadmap, the technical operation data in the NOGIC AQS shows that the number of registered industry operators moved from 53 in 2018 to 114 in 2023, representing about 100% increase. Within the same period, service companies increased from 8,000 to 11,000, while registration increased from 140,000 to almost 400,000. Certificates of Nigerian content plans increased from 178 in 2022 to 255 in 2023, while the approved Nigerian content compliance certificates dropped from 197 in 2022 to 168 in 2023, partly due to the lull in investments. We believe the higher certified Nigerian content plans in 2023 will soon translate to approved contracts with Nigerian content compliance certificates as the industry gets accustomed to the policy directions of the new government. To shorten contracting cycle to a maximum of 6 months, a new SLA MOU has been signed with industry operators and NNPC Limited. For a very long time, NCDMB maintained an MOU with IPPG, OPTS, and LNG. But this year, we were able to work with NNPC to bring them in line with the MOU strategy and reduce the contracting cycle time. A total of 889 expatriate quotas were approved in 2022, while 179 expatriate quotas were rejected. The expatriate quota approval is trending down in the last 5 years. This year, a total of 1,156 expatriate quotas were approved at the end of November, compared to 889 approved in 2022. Also, 328 expatriate quotas were rejected, compared to 179 rejected last year. The expatriate quota approval has been trending down from up till 2021, when it started an upward trend, largely attributed to the post-COVID-19 business recovery. Newly sanctioned projects such as Train 7, as the passage of the Petroleum Industry Act of 2021. Under the Technical Capability Development pillar of the roadmap, our in-country fabrication capacity moved from 60,000 tons per year to 250,000 tons per year. Under this pillar, we have transformed 2 of our portfolio no-gap sites from bare land to industrial park to support in-country manufacturing and assembly of equipment and input materials required for exploration and production activities. While these 2 no-gap sites are essentially ready for commissioning, we are keen to operationalize it by having manufacturing activities in place, which is scheduled for the first half of next year. A total of 37 applications have been received for allocation of service plots and or shop floors so far, and the process of allocation of service plots to manufacturers is in top gear, and so far service plots and shop floors have been allocated to 6 companies. At the moment, we have reached an advanced stage in our review of the business plans of intending tenants, and another batch of allocation will soon be made. Under the strategic roadmap, we set up a dedicated $50 million fund to co-finance industry research and development activities. The Research and Development Fund led to the development of armored tech smoke alarm detector facility that will be commissioned next week in Abuja. We created centers of excellence for research and development in 6 Nigerian universities, as well as created the Technology Incubation and Innovation Center to incubate innovative ideas and startups. 17 startup companies successfully concluded training at the NCDMB Technology Incubation and Innovation Center here in Bayelsa. On human capacity development, we identified existing technical and vocational or craft centers and carried out intervention programs to strengthen institutions such as Government Technical College in Abak, Akwa Ibom State, GTC Port Harcourt, GTC Amoli, University of Ibadan, University of Port Harcourt, River State University of Science and Technology, and Lagos Nigerian Maritime University, and many others. The Human Capacity Development Program has enabled training and provision of sea time exposure to marine cadets, underwater divers, boat builders, NDT Level 3 certified engineers. Our ICT intervention programs in secondary schools in promotion of STEM education remain very popular and high in demand, with over 100 ICT and science labs completed to date. The teachers in this process were also not left out, with almost 2,000 of teachers trained on STEM education and use of the KYAN device. Under the roadmap, we have trained over 7,000 youths in Bayelsa, Kano, Kaduna, Cross River, and Yobe states on GSM hardware repair and software development. Regarding our commercial ventures portfolio, we partnered with Walter Smith to establish a 5,000 modular refinery in Ibigwe, Imo State. This year alone, the refinery has produced and sold over 170 million liters, or about 3,000 trucks of petroleum products that would have been hitherto imported using our scarce forests. I am happy to say I am happy to announce that the site works for the expansion of the refinery to 10,000 barrel refining commenced in September 2023. And it's also important that within this venture, last year we made profits and NCDMB was paid dividend out of this venture. This year, we've also concluded our board meeting 3 weeks ago, and we are going to receive a handsome dividend through this investment. The 3 other modular refineries are being progressed to completion and startup. Yesterday, I was listening to a TV program where somebody who claimed to understand refining was trying to define modular refinery. As far as this is concerned, modular refinery is very specific. But the word modular means the refinery will continuously expand. Excuse me. The refinery will continuously expand and is built in modules. That's why in Walter Smith, we started with 5,000. We are moving to 10,000 barrels, and we are also pursuing a condensate refinery of 30,000 barrels alongside NNPC. That is the word modular. So the modular refinery is not a specific refinery designed to produce particular products. In Walter Smith today, we produce AGO, Kero, naphtha, and heavy fuel oil. Out of the exporting of naphtha and heavy fuel oil, we've earned almost $50 million in export products of those 2 items. The 3 other modular refineries are being progressed to completion and startup. For example, the financial close to get the remaining funding for Azikiwe refinery is nearing completion with the great support from Afri-Exim Bank. While DuPont refinery in Edo State is technically complete, we are looking at various options and offers before us to bring closure to the partnership in line with our investment policy. The jetty and the FAT for the inside battery limits of the Atlantic modular refinery have been completed. We are now focused on taking delivery of the inside battery limit while exploring all the options open to address the funding challenges hindering the completion of the project. In the area of gas utilization, one of our partners has enabled the utilization of part of the OB3 pipeline with the commissioning of Nedo gas plants, currently injecting lean gas into the gas pipeline infrastructure. The partnership has also opened export outlets for other gas operators within the Kwale axis, thus eliminating the need for gas flaring. Other active sites under our partnership with local businesses include Butane Energy for LPG storage and distribution in 10 northern states of the Federation. 2 of those, one of it has been commissioned in Katsina, and first quarter next year, we hope to commission the one in Kaduna and Kano. Bruno for the production of base oil, a Rascon lube oil blending plant, and Transcell for construction of LPG terminal and 5,000 metric ton storage capacity. Financial closure required by our partners in Brass Fertilizer for 100,000 metric ton per annum methanol plants, Run Gas for the manufacturing of LPG cylinder, and SPL Itorogu for gas processing for LPG extraction remain areas of concern. We have commenced discussions on key steps required to cure the issues around these partnerships. These will be presented for consideration and approval to our governing council once it is reconstituted. Ladies and gentlemen, permit me to also share our remarkable success in the area of enabling business environments. Under the roadmap initiatives, we challenge ourselves to move from the 27th position in 2019 as an MDA on the ease of doing business ranking to the first position last year and still maintain this position this year. The board completed, commissioned, and commenced utilization of its iconic new headquarters building, the Nigerian Content Tower, which is also housing the 10,000-seater auditorium, a 4-level car park, and inclusion to that is a 10-megawatt power plant that supplies power to these facilities, including the Bayelsa State Government. Since the official commissioning in 2020, we have put in place strategies to ensure the facilities are well maintained and in good condition. We have an operational 10,000 megawatt power plant conceived as a capacity development initiative project with one of the NAWOC JVs. We have never defaulted in settling the bills for the fuel gas consumed, and we also ensure that the routine and preventive maintenance is carried out to the latter. The portfolio of Nigerian Content Intervention Funds being managed by Bank of Industry and Exim Bank has grown to $500 million, with various products offering for asset acquisition, project finance, manufacturing, and contract refinancing, and others. Under the strategic roadmap initiatives, we made substantial recoveries from the third-party forensic audit of the NCDF remittances instituted to determine, track, recover outstanding statutory remittances into the fund. Apart from the flagship Practical Nigerian Content Forum, we introduced other board-sponsored events to deepen the conversation around the practice of Nigerian content, such as the Nigerian Oil and Gas Opportunity Fair, where we share 5-year look ahead of opportunities within the oil and gas industry. We also established a Research and Development Fair, the Nigerian Content Consultative Forum Retreat, the Nigerian Content Managers Retreat, Women in Oil and Gas Workshops, the Apple African Content Roundtable, midstream and downstream workshops, human capacity development workshops, and Nigerian content sensitization workshops. Other highlights include the Project 100, wherein 5 beneficiaries assess funding, and our impact assessment of the program shows that the Project 100 companies on average grew by 15% annually between 2019 and 2022. I must also use this opportunity to highlight the progress being made in the various collaboration projects with other MDAs and state governments, such as the Oloibiri Museum and Research Center, the PTDF Skills Development Center, and others. As underrated, it is important to utilize timely decisions to sustain momentum, otherwise things grind to a halt and you require extra effort to restart them. There is a saying amongst project managers that procrastination eats project commencement for breakfast, while indecision eats project completion for dinner. Lastly, I can submit that local content growth is directly proportional to its being prioritized as a national agenda. Once there is a lack of leadership backing at all levels, it opens the door for the practice to take a backseat. Needless to add that this has its consequences, which are not usually immediate. For those of us who live in the Niger Delta, we can relate to the consequences of neglecting local participation in the oil and gas business. In closing, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, permit me to also use this opportunity to dispel some of the assertions or provide clarification on some narratives out there about the board and its activities. Ladies and gentlemen, a question to you, which perhaps I will provide the answer. Is it true or false that NCDMB is a very buoyant organization and awash with money? Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the answer is false. Some years ago, when I started in the industry with Shell, the industry used to spend $21 billion year on year in its activities. And if you take 1% of $21 billion, it made a lot of sense. Today, if we spend $6 billion, we are happy in the industry. And 1% of that is $60 billion. 40% of those that are supposed to pay will not pay. So you collect that balance of $30 million within 12 months, and you have to use EFCC and everybody to go after that 40%. You tell me, is this organization awash with money? The answer is no. The fact is that the 1% Nigerian Content Fund, remittance of contract awarded, is dwindling due to the lull in the industry. Through prudent and judicious use of the fund, we have grown it to sizable amounts such that it could be leveraged for intervention and our operational needs. The fund has 68% of it placed with Bank of Industry and Nexim Bank as intervention funds, and 32% utilized for our operations and partnerships. These placements have enabled us to attract some yields and capital appreciation while still fulfilling our mandate. The next question, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, is it true or false that our 17-story headquarters building is wasteful and underutilized? The answer is false. We only have 3 floors out of the 17-story building available for let. We are in discussion with one of the telecoms companies, a bank, and a well-known operator with a huge footprint in Bayelsa for office space to let within the Nigerian content towers. This narrative about underutilization reminds me of the story about the Federal Secretariat in Abuja when it was built some years ago, when Nigeria was moving to Abuja, which is now over-congested, because then when it was built, people said there was too much space, it was wasteful. Today, they are looking for people's houses to rent as an expansion of their activities. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the other question is it true or false that NCDMB plans to relocate its headquarters to Abuja? The answer is definitely false. We are still here 7 years after some people took us to court on the unsubstantiated rumor that we are moving out of Bayelsa. We are also building a 200-room conference hotel next door to the headquarters that is penciled for the activities of the board. One of the greatest challenges that we face in Bayelsa anytime we organize conferences like this is where people will stay. Hence, people stay in Port Harcourt and commute back and forth. Based on that, the Federal Executive Council gave us the approval to build a 200-room hotel that will support our conferencing activities. By the grace of God, by year 2025, I will be perhaps invited to join in the commissioning of that hotel. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I receive hundreds of letters all the time asking me and even demanding for employment, as there is the perception that NCDMB will employ everybody in Bayelsa and beyond. This is incorrect. Please know that as an agency of the federal government, we cannot carry out employment as we like. There are several layers of approvals required to employ individuals into the public service. Another one is that NCDMB is partaking in areas outside its mandate. Is this true or false? The answer is false. Section 70 of the NOGIC Act 2010 is very unambiguous on the functions of NCDMB. 16 functions of the board are listed under the provisions, and I had to dedicate my keynote address at the last NOG seminar to list out our functions, as including evaluation of Nigerian content plans, monitoring of Nigerian content performance, carry out research and investigations, organize conferences and workshops, develop capacities and capabilities of local contractors, implement ministerial regulations, delegate any of its functions to any agent or operative, and do anything legally necessary to enable the board to carry out its functions. This is as contained in the Act. It is therefore not true that we carry out activities outside our mandate as not contained in the Act. Lastly, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, let me use this moment to express my gratitude to the various stakeholders across the nation, including the President, their President, Senator Abed Bola Tinubu, the National Assembly members, operators, service companies, sister agencies and associations, civil society organizations, the media, and several others for the support provided to the board in the past years of being in the saddle. You might think that this is a valedictory speech, but like I said, this will be the last PNC that I am expected to address a gathering like this. I would like to formally welcome you once again to this forum for the last time as the chief host. I implore you all to actively participate in all the sessions. My views on the subject of divestment, domestication, and decarbonization are well known by everybody. We have designed this year's program to hear the various perspectives and agree way forward as we thrive to deepen Nigerian content in the oil and gas industry. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I thank you very much for listening. God bless you.
NCDMB has more than surpassed expectations. When he came, the industry said CB must succeed. 7+ years and counting, there are over 20 areas where the success is remarkably outstanding. Can we give him another resounding applause? Truly remarkable, truly remarkable. I'm sure the pioneer years and the immediate past years are both smiling and proud that the man you handed the baton to has not disappointed. And then he claps. They both clap. That's amazing. That's amazing. Congratulations, Engineer Simbi Kesiye Wabote, FNSE, FIPS. Interestingly, the first time I heard his name, I asked him, "Are you from East Africa, sir?" He laughed and said, "No, from Bayelsa." Thank you for this meritorious and remarkable service to your fatherland. He mentioned quite a number of stakeholders. Indulge me for 1 or 2 minutes to acknowledge the presence of the DG Manufacturers Association of Nigeria, Mr. Shegun Ajayi Kadri, MNI. Very good morning and thank you for joining us. The president of the Ship Owners Association is also here as well, Mr. Sonny Eja. A very good morning to you and thank you so much for joining us. We have quite a number of the CEOs in some of our principal sponsoring categories who have joined us here this morning. Some we have recognized. By the way, Mr. Andy Ode is General Manager, External Relations and Sustainable Development and Non-Sustainability. My apologies, sir. Thank you very much for your kind understanding. We'd like to also acknowledge one of our diamond sponsors here, UTMFLNG, Mr. Julius Rone, represented by Mr. Sadiq Meibonu. A very good morning to you and a warm welcome. Thank you for joining us. ND Western's Dr. Berry Chupu Oji, we acknowledge your presence. That's our platinum sponsors. Mr. George Onofowokan, our platinum sponsor as well. We haven't recognized the third company there. Of Coleman Wires and Cables, we acknowledge you and we thank you. OISERV, Mr. Chuka Eze, we acknowledge your presence, as well as that of MG Valgas. Those are in our gold categories. Thank you for joining us. We'll recognize some other categories as we move on in this program. Now, speaking of our principal sponsor, it is the umbrella body of all indigenous petroleum producers in the country. You've heard in the ES's keynote of how one of those companies has gone into this remarkable partnership with the NCDMB, delivering forex to the country that is in dire need of it. Yes, he is a visionary leader, and he is leading this group of indigenous producers to continue to maximize and optimize our resources for our own general benefit. Please welcome with me for his own address, Mr. Abdul Rasaq Issa, Chairman IPPG, Chairman Walter Smith. Photographers, please give us that access. They have been begging you. Thank you. You're welcome.
Your Excellencies, the Executive Governor of Bayelsa State, Senator Duye Duri, the Honorable Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, Oil and Gas, Senator Heineken Lokobiri, and Right Honorable Ekwerikwe Ekpo, the GCEO of NMPC, Malam Mele Kolo Kiari, Royal Fathers, Captains of Industry, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, kindly permit me to stand on already established protocols for the day. Firstly, I really want to congratulate the ES, Mr. Simbi Wabote, for this world-class edifice standing here as the NCDMB Tower. You truly deserve a resounding round of applause. This is my first time here, and the last year when I had the opportunity to come, it was, PNC was held in Akwa Ibom, so I didn't get to see it. But truly, this is remarkable. You've really raised the bar for local content and the quality of infrastructure delivered by an MDA. Congratulations for that. I'm extremely delighted to be here in Yenagoa to deliver once again this goodwill address at the opening ceremony of the 12th edition of the Practical Nigerian Content PNC Forum on behalf of the Independent Petroleum Producers Group. Permit me to begin by expressing our gratitude to our host, His Excellency Senator Duye Diri. I equally extend our gratitude to the Honorable Ministers of State, Petroleum Resources, and Oil and Gas, Senator Heineken Lokobiri and Honorable Ekwerikwe Ekpo, respectively, for proactively executing Mr. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's programs for the oil and gas industry. The PNC has always provided a viable platform for demonstrating the successes recorded in deepening Nigerian content and fostering industry-wide collaboration in delivering the key tenets of Nigerian Oil and Gas Industry Content Development Act, NOGIC Act. I must therefore specially commend the Nigerian Content Development and Monitoring Board, NCDMB, under the able leadership of Engineer Simbi Wabote, for once again convening this event. This event will always be a special one for IPPG, as an association of 29 indigenous exploration and production companies. There's a natural synergy between the NCDMB and IPPG. The emergence of IPPG and strong indigenous exploration and production companies is a testament to the successful local content policy. From the theme of this year's conference, it is clear that a lot is happening in our industry. Deepening Nigerian content amidst divestments, domestications, and decarbonization. Our industry is witnessing a transformational shift and thus continues to underscore the importance of repositioning our industry in the short to medium term. The ongoing global energy transition drive, as well as the widespread reforms across the domestic landscape, notably the implementation of the Petroleum Industry Act, the ongoing divestment of onshore and shallow water assets by the IOCs, and the Decade of Gas initiative, means exciting times are on the horizon for the industry, bringing with it immense opportunities for growth. As an industry, we must remain focused on rapidly and efficiently exploiting our vast hydrocarbon assets for the socio-economic transformation of our nation. It is therefore imperative for the industry to be efficient and look inwards in fully optimizing these hydrocarbon assets for today and future generations. The faithful implementation of the NOGIC Act is capable of unlocking the nation's economic potential and serving as an enabler for rapid industrialization. The acceleration of in-country capacity utilization, reduction of capital flight, and in-country retention of significant portion of industry spend will no doubt continue to expand the participation of indigenous companies across the industry value chain and create linkages to the wider economy. NCDMB needs to be specially commended for their pragmatic implementation of the NOGIC Act and overall performance. At last year's PNC, and midway into the NCDMB 10-year strategic roadmap, the Executive Secretary noted the board had achieved 54% Nigerian content level. Following the Executive Secretary's address, it is heartwarming to hear Nigerian content level has maintained the 54% as achieved last year. This is a remarkable feat, and NCDMB remains on track to meet or even exceed the 70% Nigerian content target as articulated in its 10-year strategic roadmap by 2027. Also, at last year's PNC, I spoke about the role of NCDMB, the role NCDMB has played as a proactive business enabling regulator with collaboration on the phenomenally successful 5,000 barrels per day water smith modular refinery in Ibigwe, which commenced operations in November 2020. Today, as I projected last year, the refinery has delivered its first dividend payment to NCDMB. We've paid off a significant portion of our project financing and commenced an expansion phase designed to double refinery's capacity to 10,000 barrels per day in the next 18 months. NCDMB's Commercial Ventures Partnership Program continues to stimulate investment and promote in-country capacity. It is clear the government's effort in deepening local content in the Nigerian oil and gas industry is paying dividends, and it's imperative that this effort is sustained with greater focus placed on bridging inherent capacity gaps, addressing infrastructure inadequacy and capital deficiency plaguing the industry at the moment in order to optimally derive the full benefits of local content policy. While we proudly recognize the major role that local content implementation has played in advancing our oil and gas sector, we must also be mindful of ensuring that our local content policies are constantly evaluated to ensure that they are continually fit for purpose and not counterproductive to our long-term industry growth and cost targets. Our industry continues to face growing pressures to remain profitable and cost efficient as it faces competition from other investment destinations. To this extent, I would like to encourage the NCDMB to review certain aspects of our regulations that may potentially work against the competitiveness of Nigeria's oil and gas sector in the global marketplace. A case in point, the Human Capital Development Training requirement, wherein industry participants are required to set aside 3% of project costs, projects above $1 million, to conduct local content training. While this is undoubtedly a laudable initiative, we must consider that it amounts to multiplication of levies as industry participants are already equally required to contribute a separate 1% of total costs as NCD levy. This invariably leads to higher project costs, especially as the companies themselves do not benefit directly from those training programs. Due to this and other contractual or administrative reasons, the process of complying with local content requirements has on many occasions proven to be significantly increase the overall cost of delivering projects in Nigeria. Again, this unintended outcome requires some detailed review in order to ensure that we are not losing new investments to emerging investment destinations in the process of driving our local content agenda. Most critically, because of the strict local content requirements, we have gradually also seen a reduction in the presence of leading international oil and gas service providers, many of whom are seriously reconsidering their presence in Nigeria. Unfortunately, while we continue to prioritize local content development, we must recognize that these international players have a key role to play in ensuring technology transfer and knowledge sharing that our local players can benefit from. You will agree with me that our local players still lack the requisite capacity to adequately support our deep offshore operations and other specialized operations. Therefore, our recommendation is that ways should be sought to modify some of the requirements to ensure that industry remains globally competitive and sustainable at a season that we are seeking new investments into the sector. Your Excellencies, captains of industry, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, on a concluding note, it is instructive to note that this edition of the PNC will be the last under the stewardship of the indefatigable and high-performing Executive Secretary, Engineer Simbi Wabote. Since his appointment in 2016, NCDMB has delivered unprecedented milestones and been a shining example, not just in our industry, but the nation, on how best-in-class government agencies should operate. These strides have definitely laid a solid foundation for the growth and development of Nigerian content in the years to come. It is on that note, and on behalf of IPPG, I would like to express our deepest gratitude to him for his continuous support and unwavering commitment to the survival and growth of our industry. As a group, we remain optimistic that the vigor with which the local content policy has been implemented, we are able to get it right for the long-term growth of our industry. IPPG hereby reaffirms its commitment and support to continue to partner with the NCDMB as it aims to strengthen in-country capacity and increase Nigerian content for the benefit of the industry and the country. I thank you for your attention and wish you all a memorable and engaging session at the 12th Practical Nigerian Content Forum. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. Indeed, while we're making inroads and deepening the Nigerian content, we should remember that the world is actually global and there should be information sharing and knowledge gained every time will come in handy. Thank you so much, sir. Please, a round of applause for him again. Mr. Razak Issa, the chairman of IPPG, and Walter Smith. Thank you so much, sir. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to, again, while Richmond was here, he made sure we recognize some of our silver sponsors, and so we'd like to take a few more before we move to the next item. I'd like to, on that note, recognize one of our silver sponsors, Aradel Holdings. We have actually here the Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer, Adebite Falade. Please put your hands together for him. Thank you so much, sir, for being here. And of course, another of our silver sponsors, there's First Marine and Engineering Services. The Managing Director is also here, Chief Joseph Penawo. Please, a round of applause for him also. We also like to recognize MICCOM Cables and Wires Limited, one of our silver sponsors. We have the Chief Operating Officer here with us, Bukola Adubi. Please, a round of applause for them also. And of course, with your kind permission, yes, right where we are, We had a company that partnered with the NCDMB to ensure we had this edifice, and the managing director and CEO is also here with us, Harcourt Aduke of Megastar. Thank you so much, sir, for being here. We recognize every other captain of industry who is here. I'm sure even Mosilo Group, you're here, Mosisias here. Thank you all for being here. And so, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, we'll crave your indulgence again. Please grab your key parts. Would like to know, you listen to the ES's remarks. Would like to know what you like the most at the Nigerian Content Tower. Would like your honest opinion, please. If they ask someone like me, I probably will put a water fountain since I'm from the Atlantic Ocean. All right, media, do we have the results? The conference hall. Of course, we're all seated in the conference hall, so it makes sense that it will be the conference hall. But I was wondering, you see, yes, some people here are like me, it's the water fountain. You know, I love swimming. I'm from the Atlantic Ocean. My community is by the Atlantic Ocean, so you can understand why I'll be looking at the water fountain. I'm glad we have comrades here. Comrade, I recognize you. Thank you. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, we'd like to move again to some of the speeches we have lined up for this opening ceremony. And it gives me great pleasure to invite a man who was able to strike a balance, play a key role, and ensure... A minute, please. Thank you.
Okay, so recently I visited the office of a client and I pulled out, he said, "You didn't come with a writing material." I said, "Nah, we do digital these days." So I proudly pulled out my phone, brought out the pen, the joystick they call it or whatever. And then I began to write as he was dictating, preparing for an event. At a point, my pen stopped writing. Technology can fail sometimes, that's what I'm trying to say. But this morning we'll make sure I did not fail, and Tari, we can proceed to bring up our next speaker.
Oh, thank you very much. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the world is indeed a globe village. You know, years past, even as close at 40, 50 years prior to this time, if you had told some persons that someone can be in another country and you see the person, speak with the person, they probably would have conducted deliverance for you, thinking you are possessed. But this time around, we can have people from different parts of the world participate, and actively contribute in conferences, in conversations and meetings right across the globe. And today it gives me great pleasure to invite a man who, like I said, managed a transition process very well, and that earned him a new appointment again as the Group Chief Executive Officer of NNPC Limited. While he is physically in Dubai for COP28, technology has made it possible for him to join us here in this conference. Please, a round of applause for the Group Chief Executive Officer of NNPC Limited, Mele Kolokiari, OFR FNAPE.
say something? Yes, we can hear you now, sir.
Okay, thank you very much, Excellency and gentlemen, ministers, senators, and particularly my younger brother, Cindy. I would have loved to be with you this moment, completely unavoidable, but not connected to what we're in this moment in Ottawa. New Orleans has been where all of us have advocated a just transition, and you can't do just transition without capacity, or local capacity. And of course, every country looking forward to solutions to make sure that they are able to fill the gap that exists today of energy deficiency, energy poverty across the globe, particularly in Africa. And you can't do this when everybody is taking away from our kind of visit. And we have seen this opportunity that the moment has created for all of us. Building our local capacity is critical. And we have done enormous work in the Nigerian content development board to see how we can ease engagements, procurement in our business, making fast decisions, enabling companies that can have local capacity to do business for us quickly, so that ultimately we bring that growth that this industry requires. We take the benefit of the opportunities that are there in our industry, and of course grow prosperity in our country. And there's no other way of doing this than the building the local capacity. And we at NMPC are completely aligned with this direction. We will support the NCDMB and all other institutions of government, particularly the business community and our partners, to see how we can accelerate this development, build our local capacity as the world is looking for other options. Even in the other options, I also believe that we have a space to play in technologies and very many other things that others have been really not rocket science, and believe that building this capacity on the platform in Nigerian content is the right thing to do. And we at NMPC are looking forward to the day when we will say that yes, we can work, supported, yes, but clearly on our terms. And I'd like to thank you for speaking even at this difficult moment, as I would have loved to be with you this moment. And I look forward to joining this conference as coming back. Thank you very much, Cindy, for inviting me.
Thank you very much, Dr. Mele Kolokari, OFR FNAP. Thank you, and that's straight to the point. And moving on swiftly now, we will take our next address. We're staying still in Dubai. He's one of the delegations there. This time he's representing the distinguished Senator Heineken Lekoburi, Minister of State Petroleum Resources Oil, and he is the Permanent Secretary of the Ministry and Nigerian's OPEC Governor. I yield the virtual platform to you now, Your Excellency Ambassador Gabriel Aduda. Good morning. Please say something. Let's be sure we can all hear each other. Ambassador Aduda?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Confirm you can hear me, sir.
Yes, I can hear you.
The stage is therefore yours. The applause is... Please give him a round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you. The applause is also to welcome you to make your address. It's over to you, sir.
Thank you so very much, Richmond. Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, please allow me to stand on existing protocols. I also want to acknowledge that we may have some challenges with the technology, being able to speak promptly, as I can hear echoes coming back at me. I don't know, are you able to hear me clearly, please?
Yes, we can hear you clearly, sir. Please go ahead, sir.
Are you able to hear me?
Yes, sir. Loud and clear, sir.
Okay. Let me start by thanking the management of NCDMB for putting together this very wonderful conference, like they've always done, practical content. It is one that gives us an opportunity for stock taking, to see how well we as a country are doing, not only regulation, but aiding the participation of our indigenous entities in the oil and gas space. And it is my joy to say we have seen a continuous improvement and rise in the activities of the NCDMB over the years, especially under the leadership of the current ES, our very dynamic and amiable Simbi Kesie Wabote. I always like it when he calls his name in full like that. I find it very interesting. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, in recent years, our nation has indeed faced, and not just us, but the entire African continent, is practically being muddled up in the politics of climate change. And I use the word guidedly, the politics of climate change. And what we are seeing
Okay. Okay, he's back.
Hello?
Yes, sir. We can hear you, sir.
Okay, I'm very sorry. I'll just try to wrap.
I think the network is, as they say on the streets these days, not networking today. Technical, can I get a thumbs up from your window if he's still there?
Can you hear me now?
Okay, yes, we can hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir, we can, sir. And for the echo, for the echo you were
Okay, thank you so very much. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I think divestment in the oil and gas sector, which we all are seated here to talk about today, domestication and decarbonization in itself especially, is not something that we need to worry about or run away from. But more importantly, these are challenges that also come along with opportunities. And these are opportunities that will rather our indigenous entities pay very close attention to. The investment in the oil and gas sector refers to strategic decision by companies, investors, or governments to sell or reduce their investment in fossil fuel-related assets. This could include selling off assets like oil wells, refineries, pipelines, reducing ownership stake in such facilities. And the reasons behind this could vary. Some might stem from ethical considerations where entities aim to align their investments with environmental concerns and reduce their carbon footprint. Some might divest due to financial reasons, perceiving a shift towards renewable energy or anticipating declining profitability in their various engagements. Some could be geopolitical factors, or in some cases, regulatory changes. Like the last speaker from IPPG said, sometimes if we overstifle through regulation the IO system, perhaps we could see some level of divestments. And then, of course, societal pressure for cleaner energy alternatives, and in some cases, security of investment could also prompt divestment decisions. However, Nigeria's commitment to fostering local content within the
the oil and gas industry remains unwavering. The diversification of our economy and the empowerment of our people through the expansion of indigenous participation in the sector is a cornerstone of our national agenda. We recognize that divestment presents various challenges, but they also unveil opportunities for strategic partnerships, technology transfer, local capacity building. Embracing these changes, we aim to leverage this transition to empower Nigerian businesses, create better employment opportunities, and stimulate growth. In his speech earlier, the ES, Simbi Okamote, this morning made some very, very reaching, if you call them revelations of what we have been able to achieve through local content. One of the most important local players pay a lot of attention to. And this is something that we need more of so as to be able to grow that space. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the various partnerships that he alluded to are ones that we can it's also available for our local partners with how to take opportunities out of this. Moreover, domestication in itself serves as a become reliance and resilience. We envision a future where Nigerian indigenous companies are not just beneficiaries, but contributors to the entire oil and gas value chain, from exploration, production, to transportation, to storage, to retailing, and beyond. Our emphasis on local content is not just regulatory obligation, but a pathway to our prosperity and sustainability. Equally important, ladies and gentlemen, is our commitment to decarbonization. As global concerns for environmental stewardship intensify, Nigeria is dedicated to promoting cleaner and more sustainable practices within the energy sector. We are exploring various avenues, especially improvements in technology, to see how we can better our production processes in cleaner ways. We also are working to foster innovation to reduce our carbon footprint, while ensuring energy security for our dear nation. So like we will always say, we are committed to cleaner technologies, we are committed to reducing emissions, but not to reducing our extraction. To achieve these goals, collaboration among stakeholders, government, industry players, regulatory bodies, local communities is very paramount. Together we can create an enabling environment that encourages investment, innovation, and adherence to best practices, while ensuring that the benefits of these initiatives reach every segment of our society. In closing, I want to urge us to embrace the challenges that have been posed by divestment, to actively promote domestication, and steadfastly pursue the path of decarbonization. We must forge ahead with unity and determination, and a shared vision of a prosperous Nigeria, where the oil and gas industry serves as a catalyst for sustainable development and social economic empowerment. May I end by congratulating the Executive Secretary and his management team, and all those that have participated in sponsoring this event once again today. I want to thank you all, appreciate that all you have done, and also to say a very good blessing, big God bless you to all of us. Once again, thank you and have a wonderful conference.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much, sir. There's the Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Petroleum Resources, Ambassador Gabriel Aduda, giving us the ministerial address of His Excellency Senator Heineken Lokobri, Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, Oil. And of course, he is also not here because he is in Dubai for COP28. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, Your Excellencies, we have members of the National Assembly, specifically the House of Representatives, here with us. Earlier on, we recognized them, but we'd like to do so again and recognize the fact that they took time out of their busy parliamentary duties to be here with us today. We have the Deputy Chairman of the House Committee on Local Content, Honorable Sheyi Sowumi. Please put your hands together for him. Thank you so much for being here. And a member of the committee is also here, Engineer Olatunji Akinosi, FNSC. Please, a round of applause for him also. Thank you so much. And Honorable George Olawande, please, a round of applause for him, is also a member of the committee and the House of Representatives. We'd also like to recognize the Chief Executive Officer of Seplant. He is represented here by the Chief Operating Officer, Engineer Samson Eze Ugori. Please, a round of applause for him. Thank you so much, sir, for being here. At this point in time, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, we're supposed to have the remarks by the Governor of Bayelsa State, but coincidentally, he is also at COP28 in Dubai. Just yesterday, at the United Nations Convention of Conserving River Deltas, that's UN Code, he made a presentation during the unveiling session of the ongoing Climate Change Summit COP28. He made a presentation on the effects of climate change and oceanification on Bayelsa coastal communities, and that is why he's not here, but is ably represented by the Secretary to State Government, Alamo Gideon. Okay, we please a round of applause for him as it comes to make his remarks. And of course, formally declare the event open.
Still good morning, everyone here. I stand here to represent His Excellency, the Governor of Bayelsa State, Senator Diri. Like the MC said, he's unavoidably absent. He's in COP28, making case for Bayelsa and the Niger Delta and Nigeria. Before I read His Excellency's remarks, which is written here, and before I discuss on the issue, I present the protocol list, I want to make some observations personal to me. I was just discussing with Simbi. He's my friend, and I'm always at home with just calling him Simbi. He's a wonderful gentleman. The keynote address he delivered here is all about the success story of a Nigerian project, confirming the theories and postulations of development study students that until Nigeria decides to develop itself, nobody else can develop you. The foreign content in our development is one of the causes of our underdevelopment. And until we look back inward and look at the local content and deliberately decide to develop ourselves, and that is the story just delivered by Engineer Simbi. 2008, in my first incarnation as Secretary to Government, I led a delegation representing the governor to Norway, specifically specifically to Stravega, a community that is the oil-bearing part of Stravega. It is just a population of 100,000 people. A beautiful riverine community, like we have in Bayelsa. Yeah, so many of our communities are riverine. And oil was discovered in Norway in 1964. And having led that delegation, I was asked this question: what is the nature of the local content of your oil industry in Nigeria? I had no answer. I tried to bring politics into it. It wasn't solving any problem. It was practically, I had no answer, because Nigeria, at that time, our friend, Engineer Dr. Wapa, was in a small office in NNPC as local content. Nobody knew it. So I could not also define what was local content in oil industry. And the conclusion was that until you look at yourself and look at that, about 40% of your industry controlled by you Nigerians, you will not go anywhere. And today, our friend, the Executive Secretary of Nigerian Content Development and Monitoring Board, has given us a success story explicitly displayed here with no ambiguities. I want to personally thank Dr. Wampa, who was one of those that give us the formula of getting local content headquarters situated in Bayelsa State. He was hiding somewhere and was telling us, do like this, do like that. And myself and the Commissioner of Mineral Resources, with a piece of paper, we concocted and tell the governor, do this. Let us commit the federal government. And so we committed the federal government, and they had no choice. And the local content came to existence. And one of the major things he asked then, give us a land space. We're going to build an edifice. And we gave this land on that day. And today, I'm happy he's seated here. He started it all with my brother giving the success story. I want to thank you very much. And Senator Lee Meba, always with us here, being one of the pioneers of this success story. And other ES that are present here, my brother and others, I want to thank all of you for this success story. I am particularly elated standing here, seeing what is being done. Sometime along the line, we feel that they may not succeed because of the Nigerian factor. Until the person given the position is able to define the office given to him. I asked recently, I said some people that are being appointed into offices don't even know the definition of the office they are handling. And if you don't know the definition and you don't know the functions, how do you serve the people? How do you provide the services that are? How do you create a vision for yourself? And I think that is what is it. The ES that have been here are able to define the content of their office, and we are having the success story. Honestly, I am grateful, and I want to thank all of you for your efforts. That being said, Senator Natasha Akpoki Uduha, I don't know whether this person is present here, Chairman House Committee on Local Content, represented by Lawrence Ikate. The Honorable Soimi, Deputy Chairman, House of Representative Committee on Local Content. Senator Enike Lekpobri, represented by Ambassador Gabriel Aduda, Dr. Mele Kolo Kiari, GCEO NNPC Limited, who has just delivered his own address. Honorable Justice Matilda Brakasa, Chief Judge, Bayelsa State. Engineer Simbi Wabote, KCA Wabote, ES NCDMB, and former secretaries of this wonderful organization that is writing success story in Nigeria. Probably it might be the only one I have seen so far. And so we're going to go somewhere if others will emulate this. Members of the Bayelsa State Executive Council present here with me, the Chief, I don't think he's here, the Chief of Staff, Principal Secretary, Government House, Special Advisors, Technical Advisors, Barrister Kemila Okara, my successor and now my predecessor. You are welcome. Stakeholders in the oil and gas industries, sponsors, invited guests, members of the press, ladies and gentlemen. His Excellency's remarks goes thus. It gives me great pleasure to welcome such a distinguished congregation of stakeholders to this celebrated 17-story Nigerian content tower. A remarkable architectural achievement entirely designed and constructed by Nigerians, which stands proudly as a continuous testament to the capabilities of Bayelsans and indeed the generality of Nigerians. When we dedicate ourselves to a task, I wholeheartedly commend and endorse it as a model for all sectors of our society. I am deliberate to mention the NCT because it not only serves as a fitting edifice to accommodate the Nigerian Content Development and Monitoring Board, but illustrates its mandate of empowering indigenous participation in the oil and gas industry at a common technical and strategic level, a more technical and strategic level. I therefore want to take this moment to express my deep gratitude to the leadership, management, and staff of this establishment for their unwavering commitment to excellence, consistently motivating us all to strive for greater achievements and pursue loftier goals. I would particularly like to extend my special appreciation to the Executive Secretary, Engineer Simbi KCA Wabote, for his graciousness, robust partnership, and collaboration with the government of Bayelsa State, as well as the personal warmth and courtesy he has always shown me. As I understand, this may be the last time he presides over this significant forum as ES. I will indeed miss his companionship, goodwill, and expertise in his current role. Undoubtedly, we will explore other avenues to engage with this remarkable and erudite gentleman. I am pleased to be part of the Practical Nigerian Content Forum, a bespoke platform for stakeholders in the oil and gas industry to come together and discuss the practical implementation of local content in Nigeria. It provides an avenue for collaboration, knowledge sharing, and fostering partnership between key players in the sector. This year's theme, Harnessing Nigerian Content for Sustainable Development, neatly interrogates the value of leveraging our local content to drive sustainable development in the country. It emphasizes the need for Nigerians to take a lead in the industry and maximize the benefits derived from our vast natural resources, rather than remain as hewers of wood and drawers of water. The Nigerian Content Development and Monitoring Board has made significant progress in advancing the participation of Nigerians in the oil and gas sector. Their efforts in promoting technology transfer and capacity building have been commendable, and we must build upon these achievements. As the host state, Bayelsa is gratified to be associated with this forum and recognize the opportunities it presents for our local economy. We are committed to supporting initiatives that promote local content and contribute to the growth and development of our state and nation. Collaboration and partnership are crucial in driving the implementation of Nigerian content policies across all sectors of the economy. We must collectively create an enabling environment that attracts both local and foreign investors, fosters innovation, and enhances technology transfer for the benefit of our people. That is where this government of prosperity has been unrelenting in promoting a zero tolerance to crime and criminality, making our state one of the safest and most secure in the country. We are also open to receiving genuine investors in agriculture, energy, health, education, and sundry other sectors of development. I call on all participants in this forum to actively engage in sincere discussions, share experiences, and develop innovative solutions. Let us explore avenues for collaboration, joint ventures, and partnership that will help us fully harness our Nigerian content potentials. Finally, I commend the organizers of this forum for their dedication and commitment to promoting Nigerian content. I also express my gratitude to the staff, management, and leadership of the Nigerian Content Tower for their exceptional work in providing us with this magnificent platform. As we embark on this journey together, harnessing Nigerian content for sustainable development, let us remember that our collective efforts will determine the future of our industry and nation. Together we can build a prosperous and resilient Nigeria driven by our Nigerian content. On this note, it is my pleasure to declare this forum open. I wish all of you productive engagements and fruitful deliberations throughout this event. Enjoy your time here, and I hope to see you back here soon with interesting investment ideas and offers. Thank you, and may God bless Bayelsa State, the oil and gas industry, and the Federal Republic of Nigeria.